I'm Luciane Ellis. I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager for the ISVs and Embedded Analytics. And I'm here with my friend, David Channon, and he is the Product Manager for Embedded Analytics and ISVs solution as well. We heard about, Nick and Kyle and our friends from AWS talk about the value of AI, talk about predictive AI and, generative AI, and how this adds value to all the business, right? So we're here, David and I, to talk about how we can unlock this value by embedding the AI and analytics into applications, into solutions that our users, our end users leverage every day. How to make this value, this intelligence available to them where they do their work. So we work with the ISVs team very often, and their applications like healthcare or fintech, or even Salesforce or ServiceNow. So they're looking for information at their hands, real-time insights at their hands, right? So it makes it was a time where we have analytics in a separate window, in a separate application, a separate context. It's more and more we're looking for this intelligence as part of the a context, and helping to make real-time decisions. So this is why we're going to walk you through the demo that Dave is going to show later on. But before we get into that, I wanted to kind of give insights into what is really driving this need for embedded analytics, right? So first of all, it's this need for real-time information. So more and more businesses are looking to be more effective and have the information at their hands, right? The AI is great, predictive is great, as Kyle mentioned. We can get great insights for that, but if this is not embedded, this is not part of a workflow or a system, that this information is not at the end user at the right time, there is no value, right? So that's the need for real-time decisions. The second one, it's the end users, right? So today we have it's no longer just the business analysts or the data scientists. They're leveraging AI and data analysis. So even though this more advanced users, they are looking for more self-service capabilities, more authoring by itself, but also, as Kyle mentioned, we have our business users. They're looking for the information at their hands by a text, but just answer of their questions, not looking for dashboards or reports. So this need to have different solutions that answer to the need for different users as well. And the third one, it's the operation efficiency. So it's to have this analytics and AI embedded into the workflow and automated to make business more effective.
It's an interesting statement from IDC. The question for you would be, reading this, customers are willing to pay a premium for applications with integrated AI capabilities. Do you think that customers know what those AI capabilities are that they need or should be using?
Good question. Probably not the word AI, but they're really expecting intelligence, insights, data-driven insights. If you think about today, as end users, we're all kind of looking for applications that give an answer to us, right? So, and ChatGPT or any others, but give you intelligence as part of their applications. So that is the concept. They're looking forward to pay more for this intelligence.
Right. So is it fair to say then that they give you a business description more than really an AI description of what you're doing?
Fair enough.
Well, leading off of that, for the ISVs that you're working with, what value point are they driving towards? Like, the typical value point for AI, right, is productivity. I don't really subscribe to that, but I get it. What are they, when you say intelligence, the ISVs are building to enhance their customers' experiences, how? And their customers' business outcomes, how?
Yes, so actually this is the context for ISVs. This comes from a report to ISVs. So providing them this intelligence or this data insights, right, inside their applications. Some of our ISVs customers, they're actually able to charge some premium prices for that as well.
I'm sorry, I meant their customer value point. So that's good. We want the ISVs to make more money. But they're doing it by providing features or capabilities.
Yes, like predictive intelligence, for example, right? We have one of our customers that, for example, they have a CRM, or a supply chain, and they are able to provide for their end customers predictive insights that before they was not to. So for this type of insights, they can charge for premiums, and that for the end customers, actually the value to be able to predict. In this case, it was like the meat, right? The forecast of waste and stocking of meat. Save them so much, money, reduce their costs. So the end customers definitely see that value. They're leveraging AI. So I would say for the ISVs segment, it's still starting, right?
There's a category of additional features like forecasting or prediction. There's a category, and then there's probably also specific features like chat-based interaction or that.
Yeah, it's the ISV building on behalf of the end customer, so the end customer doesn't have to. That's kind of the nice accelerator here.
Yeah, I don't want to press you on the point, but it's sort of getting at, to my sense, it's getting at, okay, so something has changed in this ISV's software, and that something allows them to charge more. Yeah. It also delights the customer more, maybe, like that sort of thing. So what are those somethings? And those somethings are either like an additional capability that didn't exist in the platform before, or better interactivity with the current capabilities. Those are two examples.
Yes, better insights, yes. Mm-hmm. Thank you, great question.
I too, okay. Sorry.
No, we're good. Thanks. Great questions. I had jumped that. Great question. So this is like, when you talk about embedded, right? So talk about this modern embedded analytics, there is a shift too, right? Where being used to what was embedded before, just like a chart or a report or just a graphic. So because of this need to have AI, more interactive, more insights, self-service capabilities, we're just only dashboards. It's not enough anymore, right? Talk about like Qlik answers, right? Some users, as I mentioned, they are looking for just an answer for a question. So all this, it's available through embedded capabilities. It's a service add, ISVs as one of our segments. So in terms of like what Qlik offers for this, like this robust capabilities, what's the difference, right? So it allows our customers, can be ISVs or even enterprises, right? Because they also have enterprises, they embed their solutions to, allows a richer personalization, customization of their applications. They also allow them to scale this, like especially for our ISVs, scalability and the multi-tenancy environment is very important. So it's because we're a SaaS platform, we allow them this very elastic, flexibility and scalability. Also, this new modern embedded application, they are not only at the desktop anymore. They has to be available at mobile devices. Like, for example, some of our ISVs, they use that into like a supply chain, as a supply chain manager, like, you know, on a store, a retail store. So this information has to be mobile where they do their work. Of course, as we mentioned so many times here today, it has to be secure and governed, right? Because, you know, we talk about data, and especially the ISVs talking about the ISVs data. So the security and governance is very important to that. And embedded analytics must be like as a very seamless intelligence inside the application. The end user, he does not see what is inside there. They don't know that, for example, Qlik is part of their application. So here, let me kind of walk you through what are Qlik's capabilities and how we kind of stand out at the market in embedded capabilities. We kind of separate this into four buckets, right? So the first, it's embedded into the modern web. So Qlik has its own framework. It's called Qlik Embed, right? It's give us the possibility, or give the customers the possibility to embed the full application or pieces of that. You choose it, but we to embed the full application and give to the end users all the self-service capabilities of Qlik Sense, for example, right? So he can do analysis, as Dave is going to show that in the demo after all. Also, the Qlik Embed doesn't require collecting cookies, and is a light framework, and is a full integrated with the modern other frameworks like React and Svelte.
So if you were going to build a mock architecture, microservice API-driven cloud-native headless, you would use the embed into the modern web?
I didn't catch all of that, by the way. That was pretty good J-speak.
that was very good. Yeah. I'll show you some more.
What are we doing?
We do the demo.
Okay.
The demo's using.
I didn't mean to go deep, but
No, it's good. It's good because I had a lot of fun building the demo.
Yeah.
okay. All right.
Oh yeah, he had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not to say the other three aren't bad. I'm just saying that was the one that caught my attention. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, and if you we have multiple UIs options there, but also if you wanted to go a little deeper, you can customize that leveraging Qlik Embed. The second one is the analytics and predictive and generative AI. So all our capabilities and the one that are coming, in our roadmap that Nick and Kyle mentioned, they are all native embedded by Qlik Embed. And also, we are able to deploy that into the multi-tenant too as well, which is very, very important to ISVs too. We not only deploy, but we were able to scale that. The third pillar is the deployment and management. So this is, the deployment and management of the Qlik Embed. It's secure by design. So at each multi-tenancy, it has its own security. And we also are able to control entitlement and capability bank. And we also have a capability bank. And pretty soon we will have a cloud console that will be able to manage the whole entire entitlement and all the multi-tenancy that. And last but not least is the end user authoring. So that is what really differentiates Qlik. As I mentioned, we can embed the whole entire application, and this gives the end user the possibility to not only customize the applications, but also to bring your own data to that and do your own analysis. So, and here's all kind of how everything comes together, right? From the access the data, integrating, create the solutions, creating the experiences, deploy that into a multi-tenancy environment, security by tenant, embedded that into ISVs applications, for example, or just like regular applications like Salesforce and Teams and ServiceNow, you name it, and many others, available into mobile and a web, and also leverage into the end users, their self-service capabilities. And with that, that's all because we have, it's a SaaS native solution and totally API driven, so we can automate the whole entire pipeline of that. So with that, because I like to also show more than tell, so I'm gonna bring David to kind of show our demo. Thank you.
One of the nice things that I've picked up, so it's SaaS platform, so we kind of hold the state, so you can run against it with things that aren't stateful. And we maintain the state so that you can be a little bit more iterative. So I had a lot of fun building this. I found out only a few weeks ago that I had the opportunity to do this session. And I'm a product manager, not a programmer. So I admit I did use a little bit of AI to help me build this out. But actually, it's amazing what you can do with some published APIs. And that's been my journey for the last few years. So what I will introduce you to, and I'll refresh that to set myself up, but is a fictional ISV. As I say, a lot of fun building this. SmartChain. No relation to anything that exists or could exist, right? So just set that out there now. As it happens, that's a live URL, so you could try it. If anyone wants to have a, oh yes, straight in, okay, very good. And what it basically does is it shows you the end-to-end. So
I'm just impressed you got the domain.
Well, ISV demo. It's a little bit too generic, but I was quite pleased with it, yeah. So what we basically have, yes, so we have the end. It allows a end customer to come along and to actually subscribe, to spool up all of the infrastructure and tenant and data that we need, and then land them into an interactive experience. And it's all working end to end. This is all production now, so there's not many futures here, but you'll gain all of the stuff that we've just heard about in the near term anyway. So it's all kind of built in, and it'll all evolve as we move through. So as a focus on ISVs, one of the things that we really focus on is being able to provide differentiated experiences, right? So make the product more compelling, improve stickiness, improve that consumer experience that people expect from these applications. And so we talk a little bit about being able to do things like pricing and packaging, customizing the experience your users have, and to differentiate, seeing who's going to sign up here. I'm going to do it too, so maybe I'm going to get in a queue. But let's say I want to sign up for this. So I'm going to sign up. And what it's going to do is it's going to start onboarding. And behind the scenes, so let me just, let's call it Acme Corp. And I'm going to choose some sample data. Now, obviously, if this was a real product, we'd be onboarding your data, and you could use QTC or Qlik Cloud or any of our other data components to do so. And that's really the strength of having all of those published APIs. We have all the frameworks, and Luciane talked about Qlik Embed, but we also have Qlik API, which is a TypeScript framework that actually has all of the APIs wrapped within it. And everything that you see in this demo, so and behind the scenes, we are setting up a new tenant. We're adding the users to the tenant. We're creating spaces. We're creating the groups and roles that we need. And we're creating some knowledge bases, importing some apps, indexing those knowledge bases, and then also creating some assistants that you can use. So what's going on behind the scenes? And now while I wait for it to speed of thought, very nearly.
That was for you privately.
Well, thankfully we're done. So I can now come in. And as a new customer, I now have a totally isolated tenant, all set up within this infrastructure. This is one Qlik Cloud tenant for this customer behind the scenes. It's reloaded an app, and we've got a whole bunch of stuff here straight away that's loaded off of that experience. If I give you a quick overview of this app, bearing I'm not too long on time, but I've had a little bit of fun. So I've included a few things that you've already seen, so I don't need to go into too much detail, but we've added the answers experience up here with some examples. So, how do I override product category? So questions about how to use this application. Tell me about our coffee products. So questions about data that's actually in the application. We've got the direct access to a Qlik Sense app and the engine. So I've put some KPIs on here. If I press the cog, it'll load the master measures from the app, and I can obviously customize that in my web app. And this is showing kind of the more customized, deeper integration that's possible if you're using Qlik API to really dig into the Hypercube and grab the data from underneath. And then for some slightly more legacy technology, we've got Insight Advisor down the bottom and the Questions API, which is generating insights. And so you can ask different questions here. And of course, this is going to evolve as we get more of this into answers. And you'll see, there's plenty of things that we can do in this space.
So hang on, you're kind of blowing my mind here, because I'm thinking about, I've been thinking since last year and beyond about how what Qlik has been doing for a few years now allows the, maybe more outside of generative AI, which is only a piece, as we've discussed, but certainly within AI for quite some time, allowing data scientists to create or tune or otherwise utilize AI for advanced analytics. And acquisitions and so forth have ensured data quality and so on and so forth, right? And that's how I've just tended to think about it. It's like a direct model. This is like a tiered model for doing the same thing, because now you have a supply chain specialist, this fictional example, doing that, possibly across, in some very nicely compliant way across a broad set of customers, creating or tuning or otherwise creating a model that now then individual customers can go in and tune further or develop further for their specific models. So each step of the way accelerates time to value for the utilization of AI, using not just the expertise at each level, but the most relevant data sets at each level.
Yeah. The ISV brings the expertise in the tooling, and then the end user brings the expertise in the data and in the use case and the problem. It's
their own particular model as to whatever their business is. Meat was, yours was meat. Mine might be, I don't know, cheese, and it's going to be different.
Yeah.
But across all of either food or goods or whatever, wow, that's kind of cool. I kind of like that.
I'm pretty pleased with how this turned out. So anyway, so if I dig down slightly more, so this is showing you an overlay of a bunch of different things that you can do. If we dig down, I've set out a number of different ways that you can interact with this, and I talked about this concept of being able to give different experiences to different users and give the customer control. And in here, some of this is the app, right? Obviously. But underneath, everything's powered, well, not everything, but most things are powered by Qlik. Anything that's data, anything that's the AI, anything that's the insights is all Qlik. And anything that I change in here is going to be pushed down to the tenant, as they make the request instantly. So, I've got this organization here, I've got some users, I talked about having some subscriptions that allow them to do different things to limit, what tiers, to build a product offering that's very compelling and drives people, so yes, money for the ISV, but also stickiness, improve the quality of that experience. And in this example, I could do something such as invite, one of my colleagues. I'm a customer of SmartChain. I can invite one of my colleagues along. And actually, I'm going to just do that now. Now let's do something generic. And then, I don't really trust them. I don't really trust John, so I'm going to put him as a consumer. I don't really want him to be going in and making changes to any of my stuff. That's sent invite, and you can now join. And obviously, this invite process is all built in the app, but it's going to be sending down to the tenant and creating the relevant users and setting up the access control of those users based on their role.
Is this the API endpoints then for adding users like in the cloud?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Management console effectively.
Yeah, and
right?
The whole thing behind this uses a mixture of OAuth machine to machine and OAuth machine to machine impersonation to do that, depending on what the user is trying to do.
How much of the UI stuff is Qlik Embed then? How much of that is like changing UI objects just based on what's straight out of a Qlik app, and how much of it is deeper API work?
I'm pleased that you asked. Yeah, so the dashboard here has got a little bit of deeper API work, but it's only listing those master measures that I talked about. So here I really have just done list measures, and if I click on one of these, I failed to say the preferences. It's a live demo. Okay, I'm going to blame the network, but that is going down to the Qlik app. That's only, you know, a simple API call because it's done using the Qlik API framework that abstracts some of that complexity.
So using the styling properties that are on the Qlik embed calls to like leverage the.
Well, this one's Qlik API, so it's raw data.
Okay. Okay.
But then, you know, if we come back and then look at one of the other sheets, so analytics then, so if I say I have an analytics sheet, analytics is the analytics experience that we have in
I got you.
Qlik
Okay.
embed. Yeah. And you know, obviously that is then customized slightly. You know, you can do things like add some metadata to determine which are core sheets or whatever else you want to do. And I've called this something slightly different. And of course, you've got the usual, you know, selectivity, etc., that you'd have in Qlik, Qlik Sense Native. And then let's say,
sorry, just last thing, that was the Qlik platform operation API in the background there for spinning up all the adding the users and all.
Yeah, we have the tenant service, and that's using the multi-tenant service. Yeah,
okay.
So yeah. And as of yet, as you actually spun this up, this was all done directly against the APIs, but it also did some things in automations, and I can share that as well. You've then got things like the analytics authoring, so allowing the customer to build their own experiences for their users, and this is using that full-fat Qlik Sense client. So everything that you would do normally, right? If I wanted to duplicate this sheet, it's going to be a bad demo because I'm just duplicating it, but and then if I want to publish that, then all of a sudden that's going to be available to anyone that's coming back into this native analytics experience, this lightweight analytics experience. So you've made your changes and you want to, you know, roll with them. And now it's a custom sheet. So there's various different ways that you can do. This didn't take me very long to build. As I say, 2 weeks around my day job, managed to pull this together.
You use Render for this?
Yes. Fantastic platform.
Yeah.
Really amazing, actually.
Good demo. Good demo.
Good. And then Pages. Pages was fun. So Pages, if anyone's used client managed Qlik Sense, this might look a little familiar, but this is showing a little bit more like going down to analytics charts. So down one level from having the whole sheet layout, you're then building the sheet layout. So I could pick a bunch of sheets here and let me just drag that one from that sheet, and I'll drag a few of these from this sheet, you know, but whatever, I can build my own sheet. My sheet, very good. I'll make it visible to everyone, and I'll just say the first sheet, whatever, right? I'll save that page. Fantastic, that worked. I'll drop into Pages, and then of course it's right here. And you can do a bunch of things that, you know, this is using the lightweight framework, so it loads very quickly. You can turn interactions on and off. I've turned them off in this case so that they can't, you know, come in and mess on things. They can still zoom, but they can't make selections. And then I've added a component here to do things like download it to Excel just through calling the reporting APIs. And obviously you can do, you know, the usual stuff because it's all native objects. One of the other nice things is that you can build everything to be, you know, like fully responsive. So, you know, you can take it right down. It works really beautifully on a mobile device. There is a problem with logging it on Safari, but, you know,
Yeah.
I'll fix that. You've then got predictive. I'm not going to dwell on this too much because we just had a fantastic presentation on that, but all the usual stuff going down to the Qlik Predict and ML APIs to generate those bits of feedback. Reports, same thing, you know, reporting services, you have it either in the Qlik Sense app or you can generate them. You really have a lot of choice as to how you do this sort of stuff. The user that I just invited though, so if I was just to come and accept this, and I'm also using Superbase, which is also
Superbase,
yeah, fantastic. So there we go, John Smith. Fantastic. That's now going to set up my account, obviously done on the tenant, bounce me back in, and then of course I'm going to see a cut down experience because I'm not trusted and I've just got, you know, analytics pages and nothing that I can actually use to create. So really quite straightforward in doing that. And then on the Qlik side, so let's say you actually wanted to see what's going on in this tenant, it's got the monitoring for all of that. When that was stood up, and I'll just open these two automations. This one is the monitoring out setup, and this is the trigger. The trigger fired, so it created a new record for a tenant. It's just a triggered URL, web URL pretty much. And then it triggered a run of the reinstall of the reload apps. You can see it's still going. It's deploying for 23 tenants now. And you can see that it's just deploying all the apps. And this one's already published. You don't have to make it yourself. You can pick this up off of Qlik open source repository. And then at the end of all that, and I put a little backdoor in just so I can log into the tenant to show this. But let's say I go back to here. Wait for that to come up. Here I can see my tenant. I've just sort of snuck it in here. Now, you as an end user won't be able to access this because it's all auth impersonation. You're not like a real user that has a real auth login on this tenant. I can log in because I added myself. And I can see this tenant's real. I can see all the content that's on that tenant. There's knowledge bases, there's assistants, there's apps, there's data files, all sorts. As the end customer, I can then pop up here and I can say, well, not really for me. You know, I've had enough. Come down here, I'm going to delete my account. A little drastic, but I just wanted to show the offboarding, right? Bring you around to that life cycle of saying you can then have a customer offboard themselves. You're not, you know, all hands off. Come back to this tenant, I'll refresh it. Tenant's been shut down. And that will be purged within whatever period you define, 10 to 90 days.
That could be pretty freaking dangerous.
That's why I had that warning about the admins at the bottom and all.
Well, yeah, that's
Okay,
gonna
he just took out the pop-up that says, "Are you sure?"
Are you sure you're sure?
He didn't have to type his own name in, which is the dead giveaway that you are definitely not the person you say you are when you delete.
So this is actually the whole thing I was talking about before. The SaaS apps, especially the email apps, obviously had places where that needed to be backed up. This looks like another place where. So do you guys have a third-party app or a partner that works with you to protect the data? So if a mistake is made and something is deleted when it shouldn't have been, that someone can retrieve it?
Yeah, there's partners on the show floor that provide exactly that. So backup, services, they use the public APIs. In an instance of ISV, though, it actually tends to be less of a concern because most things are deployed programmatically. So you own all the core content. There might be some customer data, but that's coming from their system. And then the only thing that's really the delta is the sheets and the bookmarks and the content they've created in Qlik Sense, and maybe some questions history if you want to keep that. And that you can all grab via the public APIs. So it's really not.
And there are partners that do it. So, okay, that's
absolutely, yeah.